go. Go for it, Ryan.
Hell yeah. All right, everyone, welcome to Roll Call. Very special episode. I like to think every episode of Roll Call is special, but
That's true.
this one in particular, Joe, 100 sessions
Yeah.
of Salamander Coast.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, I think if a campaign goes past like 10 sessions, that's a pretty big accomplishment, especially with a group, an adult group of players. So 100 sessions. And just to average the episodes, we'll just say like 3 hours each. 300 hours of content for Salamander Coast. 300 hours.
Yeah.
Over 10 days straight. I can't do the full math. It's probably like 12 and a half or something like that.
It is a lot. Yes, a lot of time.
So needless to say, there's a lot of content to cover. We're going to be going over some questions. We're going to be talking about players, characters, all that stuff. So we're just going to dive right into it. And I'm not going to lie, I have just a giant bombardment list of questions. There's not really going to be any order to them. We're just going to be going for it.
It's all vibes here. That's cool.
So Joe, when you think about Salamander Coast, because you've run 3 campaigns across RWA. I know Explorers of Ephera isn't continuing, but that went long enough that obviously, that was still a very long thing that you put a ton of time and effort into. So when you think about the 3 campaigns, obviously they each have their own stories going on, completely different characters, but in terms of the narrative, what do you think what sets Salamander Coast apart as a narrative apart from the other 2 campaigns?
Yeah, that's a really good question to start off with. I think that before we dive into Salamander Coast specifically, I think it's important to identify the other 2, right? I think that Ephera was very much like heroes, right? Very, very, very much like these are heroes in this like age of exploration world in this new land. And thank you, Kayla, for shutting the door. I appreciate that. Just the hand.
Yeah, I was like, what the
fuck? Right. They are heroes. And then with Isles, it is this group of a lot of morally gray characters that need to change because there is this incredible evil that is confronting them. For Salamander Coast, for me, it was always about people that were in the wrong place at the right time because those people needed each other in one way or another. It was less about the conflicts they were going through as a narrative, and it was more about how they leaned on each other in those moments. And of course, the other campaigns, they had that as well. But with Salamander Coast, it was so evident because of how many of the characters were younger or expressed more naive attitude towards the world, and how there were other characters that were more mature. And there was this sort of like parental give and take that, of course, is present in Isles and was present in Ephera with like Varnest and Alec and Twig and Nalfian. But for Salamander Coast, the entire group was a part of that connection and that bond. I think it's very much a found family story in a rather interconnected and complex way. And Ajax isn't just fighting demons, he needed to be there for the wisdom he provided. He was fighting demons, but...
Oh, yeah. And we love him for that. Also, quick reminder, because I meant to say this at the beginning, but much like with these really big episodes of Roll Call and when we're interviewing people, chat, if you have any questions for Joe, put them in there. I'll try to keep an eye on it. Joe, you can try to keep an eye on it too. And we'll just kind of read them up once we kind of have some time for them. So if you have any questions, please just throw them in. It's funny because when I think about Salamander Coast, I think about the name of the party, the Runaways. And for me, I think the thing that kind of stuck out the most for them is it's like, when you think about these fantasy adventures, there's usually like 1 or 2 characters who are going on that that hero's journey, like the literary device, and they have like the reluctance of like they don't want to be there.
Yeah.
And I feel like practically every member of Salamander Coast kind of didn't want to take the responsibility and go on the journey. Not like they were bad people or anything, but it was very much, we're not qualified. We're unmanned, we're too young, we're too inexperienced. Like, in a lot of the other campaigns, like, there was stuff written into the backstories for, like, obviously Alec was not going to refuse the call. She went to go help and save her people because it was so personal for her.
Yeah.
Varnas kind of had like that semi-military background, so he just kind of, trudged along and just kind of took care of it. Nalfian and Yorick, kind of similar ideas. But like everyone in the Runaways, it was just very much like, man, this sucks. We don't want to be here, but we don't have a choice, and here we are. And
yeah,
the more
exactly.
we try to get ourselves out of it, like the more we get stuck in it, like quicksand.
Yeah, honestly, now they're down below the surface. There's no getting out now.
Oh yeah, now they're either going to survive or they're not. That's pretty much the only two options now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's true. There's no better way to put it than that.
All right, so let's go back to the original. We're going to just start from the kind of beginning and go with the original crew of Salamander Coast.
Yeah.
So when the group was kind of first formed, like the way that everyone came together, I thought was like very good and very interesting. I really enjoyed the, unification and bonds. They went to like jail and they ended up working for the Fisher family. Yeah. I wasn't a part of SC in the beginning, so if I get names wrong, I apologize. But
no, you're good.
Yeah, so for that kind of early part of the campaign, obviously things have rapidly changed for all the campaigns from session 1 to session 100 in this case. But like, as you kind of wanted to see this party grow, what was kind of the direction you thought the story was going versus what was kind of the moment in the campaign where things started to take a hard left turn from what you were expecting?
That's a really good question. Honestly, everything that happened in Summer's Rest was I don't want to say railroaded, but it was very much a roller coaster, right? It was very much, I kind of understood what they were doing. I kind of understood where everything was going, right? When you set them up the way that I did in such a strong, like, you're in this now. This is the hook of the campaign. Boom, you're in the shit, like, go. When you leave Summer's Rest, that's when the world opens up, right? And that's when it did for them. And I think that the moment it took such a sharp turn is when the party chose to be anti-establishment. When they chose to, instead of participating with the guards' request of like talking to them and speaking with them and being rational, when they decided to be like, okay, we're gonna lie. We're gonna lie some more. We're gonna break people out of the captivity that they're being held in by the guards, and then we're going to run away from the guards while they're chasing us, and then maybe just shoot a few horses while we're at it. Make sure that we break as many bones as possible of these guards, and let's run away. Let's say no to the establishment and let's go to the outside. And that was a moment for me where I was like, okay, this is different now. I tell you, Ryan, I built an entire like hex crawl map for their journey south, because they wanted to go to Belka, because they wanted to go to the library and learn more about Bianca's tiefling nature. So I built this whole thing. I had roll tables. I had travel like things that were gonna, if they go to this hex, they'll find this. Ooh, but then over here they'll recognize ruins and then get some magical items and some upgrades. And then they were like, pew pew, fuck the law. I want freedom, god damn it. Like it's 1910 and they're in the American West. And then it's like, well, okay, all right. I guess we're going into the spooky ruins of the Goliath people, and we're moving into this, and you guys are going to become part of a group of terrorists.
I'm loosely associated with a group of terrorists.
Yeah.
In all fairness, like they were like
they swore no oaths. You're right. Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
When I don't know if you can answer this, but since I was just thinking about them going into those ruins, and I know you kind of didn't want to like give stuff away, and obviously any question I ask, you can just say, "No, Ryan, we're not going to talk about that."
Okay.
Or I choose not to answer. That's fine. We gonna see Ukad anytime soon?
I don't know who that is.
Of course, I mean Daku.
I don't know. All I can say is Daku was not killed with balefire.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Daku he's a dark friend, and who knows, any creature, any entity can be remade in the Dark One's very own image. So
I kind of miss him, you know.
You miss him?
There was always a special kind of spice in the air when Daku was on screen.
You know what's fun about Daku?
What's that?
Daku is a high elf.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Golden skin, golden hair. Yeah, it's crazy.
We might just end the interview here for a second. No, well, I'll get to that later. Man. Anyway. Why'd you tell me that? Anyways.
You asked the question, man.
Yeah, but you threw that info out. Oh, man. Changes everything again, but... okay, so speaking of your NPCs...
Yeah.
We often talk a lot about, like, a lot of the big NPCs that are in Salamander Coast. And I know that the two that come up the most often, Emerald across all three campaigns, is obviously a very beloved NPC of yours.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously, second place, to the surprise of no one, Keothi.
Hey.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, those have to be the top two.
Yes.
So
the top tenor in her choir, for sure. Baritone in her choir, sorry. Yeah.
Ah, there we go. And so I guess my question is, for like the first half of the campaign, who was your favorite NPC minus those two?
Ooh.
And in the latter half of the campaign, who's kind of become a favorite NPC there, and why, of course?
So the first half, the former half of the campaign, I would say, I forget his first name, but Spook. The man who owned the mansion and cemetery in Summer's Rest. Because I really, really liked the perception of, I think it was Drolin or something like that, like Gerald, or it was like some fantasy name. Spook, Mr. Spook, we'll call him. And the perception of him, right? He is this creepy old man that lives in this haunted mansion, and many years ago he killed his wife and he got away with it scot-free. Like the perception of that man, and they come to his house in the middle of the night and it's storming and there's thunder and lightning, and then he lets them in his backyard, and he's like, if you cleanse the cemetery of the curse of my dead wife, you know, and so there's all this spooky and abrasive nature to him, but then they cleanse it and they learn the truth, and then the conversation they have after, where it's like, well, why didn't you tell anybody? Would believe me, right? You know, everybody loved the sheriff of Nottingham. I can't remember his name. Selrid. Yeah. Everybody loved Selrid, and everybody thought that I was some strange old man with the owner of the cemetery. Like and so as much as I love Selrid because I thought he was a great villain, I loved the transition that Spook took from first introduction to playing Kingdoms and Castles with Hubert in the epilogue of Summer's Rest. Latter half, that's tough. That is a very tough question, because there have been so many stars and a
lot of complex NPCs in the latter half of the campaign, in my opinion.
Yeah. As much as I love Odin, I really, in one of the most recent sessions of Salamander Coast, I think it would have been 99, Thor. Because very rarely as a DM, I like to make my players shine at the table. Like I always try and do that before I, decide to do my own performance, right? I always try and make sure I give players, I tee up the ball for them to get a good hit on. But Thor was the first time that in a while in Salamander Coast where I was like, yeah, you know what? I think I'm gonna fucking act my heart out right now. And Thor, being this absolute monster of a human, but still having this very pure love for his daughter, and being like, listen, I don't want you to hurt my daughter so bad that I'm going to go against what Odin says, this man who has a collar around my neck and tells me what to do like I'm an attack dog. I will tell him no, unless you hurt my daughter. And I really love that, right? In people that we perceive as monsters and vile humans, what's that one thing for them that doesn't redeem them as a person, but is a redeemable trait about them, right? Because then it's like, oh, well, fuck, Thor's not like, he's not like the dark one, right? That wants to consume, you know, he's a guy. He's a father who loves his daughter. He just has a really fucked up way of doing literally everything else in his life.
I mean, you know, not to quote the game too much, but he's a destroyer. And I mean, when you go out as a soldier and pulverizing and destroying and killing, you know, he's like clearly in a position where it's like, well, you gotta love what you do. And so whether he was always this way or whether he was turned into it through just sheer the need to adapt to his situation, you know, it's interesting to see that now that he's up against something that's a little bit more complex than just, I'm gonna swing my hammer and it's gonna die. Well, now what does he do? And I think that Thor has been on a very interesting journey, as have all the Odinson family. So looking forward to seeing how that plays out. A little sad you didn't mention Captain Darrow, the true hero of the Salamander Coast campaign, but that's okay.
He was a good one. Yeah.
Always wondering when he's going to show up again.
I'm excited for him to come back up.
I can't wait for him to be this badass that clearly the party, like, most likely would not have been able to take on without some casualties. And I imagine they're just going to beat the living crap out of him the next time they see him. And it's, like, not even going to be close.
Yeah. I'm finally here to extract my revenge. Oh, fuck. Oh.
Yeah, it's going to be something like that, I imagine.
Yeah.
Just immediately gets lightning bolted and smited and
Jesus.
Ajax raged on. And
yeah, literally everything, yeah.
Yeah, literally everything. All right, so this part's going to take a little bit, so I just kind of want to get to it right now. So there's been a lot of characters in Salamander Coast, so we're going to go through them one at a time.
Ooh.
So starting with kind of like the OG group.
Yep.
We'll go with Cecily.
Oh,
what has been your, like, when you think of Cecily, what's kind of the standout moment of the campaign for Cecily, where it's like, if you want, like, when you're thinking about Cecily as a character, what's that moment you go back to? Not necessarily like the coolest or the most cinematic, but you're like, this is the Cecily moment.
Obviously, there's going to be some recency bias here. That much I think is clear. Yeah. I think that I can't remember the quote exactly, but after the Thor stuff, when Cecily was talking to Bianca and was like, "Can you just be a fucking person?" I think that's the other line she said was like, I feel like I've been talking to a politician for the past month. Where's my friend? You know, that, because Cecily is such a genuine character, painfully so sometimes, where she is just genuine and honest, to her own damage and to her own fault sometimes. But I think that was such a moment. That moment was so awesome because Cecily's been kind of, I don't want to say jerked around, but she's been told one thing. You know, it's a do what I say, not as I do situation with a lot of the party members. And in that moment with her being able to be like, okay, just stop and please talk to me. I thought that was fantastic. I will also throw in the fight with Odin, and casting reverse gravity. Such a fucking sick, nasty idea. So props to you, Mark, for coming up with that.
That whole fight was one of the coolest fights that I think has just been on in any of the campaigns as a whole, personally.
Yeah, goddamn, dude.
All right, like I said, I'm not going to really sugarcoat these questions because they're all the same. So, same question, Suni/Desmond O'Malley.
Man, that one's tough. For Suni, I would say, because Suni is so goofy most of the time, right? Because Cameron is a goofy guy and I love him. But I think that I need to kind of split this between two moments. I think that when Suni was talking to what was his name? The bugbear who was the alchemist working for Selrid.
Oh.
I'm sure that
I can picture him, but I can't think of the name.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody else will remember his name. But Belvedere. Thank you. Yeah, Belvedere, like the shoes. Devuk's dad. That's not true. Devuk would be his dad because of the timelines. There's a delay, John. Yeah, Belvedere, the moment he had with Belvedere in that sort of reconciliation, I think showed a very caring quality of Desmond and Suni in that matter. Because, right, Suni has always been this sort of reincarnation of Elowen, right? You are this warrior that, you know, you exist through the power of Bahamut, but to serve a purpose that is, you know, connected to me. And so I think that in particular was a great moment for Suni to shine. Another more silly moment is anytime Cecily and Desmond or Suni would pick on or trick Poe. I think that those were the moments where the things, Suni's behavior as an enabler really shown whenever he would encourage Cecily to do shitty or bad things. I think that is that's fantastic.
Right on. All right, since you brought him up, the young Pawasa Inoa.
Oh yeah, fuck, dude. Man, Evan is such a fun player to have at the table because of the, I've said it before, but the golden retriever energy that he brings, where he is just so fucking like, yeah, let's do anything. I'm gonna do everything. I'm gonna do anything. This is just a thing that I liked that Evan did. I liked how Evan really badly wanted to use his net as Poe, and he really wanted to use the net, and he would try and use it whenever he could. So I really enjoyed that. But a moment for Poe, I think that for him, one thing that I really appreciated about Poe is when he made the blacksmith's son in Summer's Rest who died. When Poe made, I think it was like a small metal horse for him. Because that was the moment where I think Poe really showed his love for people. And like, I care about people and how they feel, and I want to make them feel better, right? Those like small acts of heroism that can change somebody's life, right? By making that one small thing and giving it to that blacksmith as in memory of his son, he's helped that person. And I think that's something that Poe, even past the campaign and now with Alec and with the Wardens, that's something he still tries to do. I will also say an honorable mention, the monologue that Evan wrote me, since he couldn't be there for that last session because his life had just gotten so crazy. The monologue he wrote me for Poe in his goodbye was fantastic. And it would have been better if Evan could have delivered it himself, but it was still great.
The Rising Queen herself, Bianca.
Oh my God. Bianca. Let me see here. I mean, iconic moment killing the horses, just because it's been one of the most, I think, referenced things in the campaigns.
You know, can I jump in on that real quick?
Yeah, sure. It gives me time to think.
Felicity and I have had the horse conversation many times, and I really feel like that moment is actually not given like the justice it deserves, because like I feel like it's kind of become a meme. But like, because like what I took away from that moment is like I love the fact that like Bianca saw that the situation was not ideal, and obviously she could have justified like, these people are coming after us, it's them or us, I'm just gonna kill them. But she decided to kill the horses. And so I love the fact that, like, for me, that was Bianca saying, I don't want to kill these people. Like, are some of them bad and some of them are dirty or corrupt or whatever? Yes, but I don't know if they all are. Some of them are just legitimately trying to do their jobs, and they think that we're a problem. And I don't want to kill them because they're wrong or they've been given bad information.
It makes total sense. It is a good strategic decision. Animal cruelty.
Yeah, sure, but I mean, like, human cruelty, you know?
They probably did something to deserve it anyway.
Damn, son. I mean, those guys still got pretty messed up, because if your horse dies, I mean, you kind of go tumbling or flying.
Yeah. Plate
like,
armor.
Rohan, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, when those horses got hurt, ugh. But anyways, is that your only answer for Bianca? Or
No.
Something else? Okay, I was like...
No. So I think that one of my favorite Bianca moments, there's a lot, so I'm trying to think about which one I want to say here. My brain is also big dumb because I just had one in mind, but it's gone now. No. I know. Oh, no, I just had it. Where did it go? So it was, I believe it was more recent. Oh, yes, of course. And this happened over the course of a few sessions, but I really appreciated the way that Felicity as Bianca chose to portray these stages of grief about losing her mom in the fight at Periton, right? Because it'd be easy to say her showdown with Issen because that was such a big deal, or her first meeting with the real Issen in the forest in Jormungandr, right? That was such a great moment. But Felicity's performance over the course of 4 or 5 sessions of, I lost one of the most important people in my life that is not my adventuring party, somebody who came because I asked, and they died because of what I believe is my actions. And the betrayal of the stages of grief from, okay, well, this is, you know, I hate myself, I hate that this happened, to that sort of like, I know what choice my friends are going to make about who to bring back of people that died. I accept that. But in my mother's memory, I can't vote on that. I just can't do that. And I think that was I think that was the best way you could approach it. Because otherwise it becomes an argument and like a convincing, like, well, you know what the right answer is. And it's like, dude, I love Keothi. She's the best. But it was my fucking mom, you know, like I appreciate the way that Felicity approached that. And I thought that it was a really great moment of learning how to deal with loss or, you know, a person like all the party that's going to be in a position of power at the end of the campaign. You know, leaders got to make hard decisions. And that was a really difficult one she had to make.
No, I completely agree with all of that. All right, rounding out the original party members, Master Ishima.
Yes. Well, Apprentice Ishima. He wasn't Master yet.
Sorry, you're right.
Yeah, no, I would say that for Ishima, one of my favorite moments was in Freya's garden in Jormungandr after they returned from the past. The birthday conversation. Because I thought that was such a beautiful moment between him and Suni. And I really thought that it let Ashima shine as like listen, I understand what you're trying to do. You're trying to be very kind, and I very much appreciate that. But you have to understand this. And I think it gave Ashima a wonderful opportunity to talk about his beliefs and you know, why he feels that way and why it's important to him. And I think it was a learning experience for everybody, all the characters at the same time. So I'd say that's probably one of my favorite Ashima moments.
All right. Everyone's favorite bard, Karasilla.
Oh, yeah. Everyone's favorite Gleeman. God damn, she's grown so much.
Also known as the best Dulski twin.
Yeah, true. She's a keeper. She's a senior Kindle. She is the master of secrets. She's got all the titles.
Pretty badass.
Yeah, she's awesome. Okay. Karasilla, favorite moment. I mean, I will say right off the bat, I absolutely loved what she did with Alton last session in the 100th session. I thought that was some of the sweetest, most lovely stuff ever. And I forgot to say it during the session, but I did give Gemma a point of inspiration because I was so moved. I thought it was so wonderful. But something that wasn't just last session, honestly, standout moment was Keothi's resurrection. And I mean, Gemma, like, going back to the session where Keothi sung the song of her people and then like singing that song at her funeral, legit fucking, I was in shattered pieces on the floor. I was broken because it was so beautiful. And I think that is so perfect for Karasilla, not just because she's a bard, you know, but because of Karasilla's a way to impact people, whether they be alive or dead. She has a way to enthrall them in the stories that she tells and the songs that she sings. And Gemma also is just a great storyteller. So whenever there was a thing in Maester where she told a story to a group of people and I was engrossed. I was like, please go on. Like it was just good stuff. So yeah, that's Karasilla.
All right. Ajax.
Oh, Mr. Dong Rider himself.
Mr. Dong Rider. Damn.
No,
do John like that?
No.
On the retrospective episode. Damn.
No, that was one of the most unfortunate slip-ups I've ever had in my life. Where it was an accident. I didn't say it on purpose. It was just, I said it weird and I noticed the unfortunate phrasing. I immensely enjoyed his 0.5. Because it was like, he was playing like Arkham Asylum, you know, like he was climbing up in trees and he was pouncing down on people. And I absolutely love that. But I also enjoyed, in the fight in Periton with Issen, when Jessica showed up. So Kayla's small guest character, she played one of the members of the Order of the All-Seeing that had gotten corrupted by the Dark One and by Issen, hit Ajax with her Moonblade that infected him and made him go feral and attacked Karasilla. And the fallout from that was fantastic roleplay. Gemma's, as Karasilla, willingness to accept Ajax regardless, and the guilt Ajax felt, and the guilt he carried with him for those sessions. John did a wonderful job of portraying that. That sort of like soldier's guilt or soldier's trauma, that PTSD of like, I almost killed one of these people that care about me, that I care about, even after such a short period of time. Like, how do you process that? And John slowly dismantling that over time and still having some baggage to this day and in the campaign. I think that's great. And I think that is, I think one of the reasons that was so important for Ajax is because it's the beginnings of him being able to disassemble his own trauma with all of the awful things that have happened in his life, right? He can start with the things that are most recent And then over time, through discussing with the party, through his own experiences, seeing John from this point on disassemble Ajax's further trauma, in a way, I'm very excited to see that. So yeah.
All right, and last but certainly not least, in my heart at least, Miss Action movie star herself, Morwen Dolsky.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there is, and I feel bad that I can't remember specifics of the dialogue, but there was a moment that Morwen had with Bianca, I believe, right after Cecily was resurrected in Loshar.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And it was like, you did such a wonderful job at like incorporating things that were talked about during the session by NPCs, the title of the session, all this stuff. Like you did such a good job in that moment, and I wish I could remember the specifics, but I remember I was like, damn, that's good shit. That's some good stuff right there. It was something about like hope and faith and love, and it was just beautiful. It was great. But it was so long ago that was like a year ago almost now, I think. So that's what I'd say for Morwen.
I think it was hope mixed with grief or something like that.
Oh yeah. What's up?
Water delivery.
Oh, water delivery?
Kayla.
Oh, thank you. I got here. Give me a second. Let me
All
go.
right. Well, while Joe is away getting water, does anyone in the chat have any? Oh, he's already back. Okay, I thought that would take longer.
No, it was a water delivery.
Oh, well, I thought like there was a guy outside delivering you water, and I was like, that's weird, but okay.
No, nope. She just came to the door. Water delivery.
All right. Well, I was prepared, but now it's unnecessary.
You're ready to vamp, Evan. Evan, you're here. That's awesome.
Yeah, like my favorite moments with Morwen, as much as it was very cool for her to do, Captain America, super soldier type moves, but I think she was always her best character when she was very emotionally vulnerable, despite her just physical dominance in combat and other areas. So thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, but enough from me. I have a couple of questions from some people that we need to go over. So first off, I have a list, so give me a moment here. Sorry for the delay.
No, you're good. While you're pulling that up, Mark did ask a question. He said, beside the Old Spire outpost stuff, what's a section of the campaign that you did not plan but ended up loving?
None of it. I hate it all.
It's the Old Spire outpost. There were things that happened in Bromsgrove that I did not anticipate at all that I absolutely loved that happened. I mean, the whole like sniper scenario with Parido, that was not something I went into the Bromsgrove thing planning on doing. It seemed like a really good fit, and it obviously had a really strong impact on everything and how everybody felt about it. You guys snooping around Odin's like back room and trying to question Mimir and everything at the party. I didn't anticipate that because you knew how dangerous Odin was. So I love that Suni had modify memory casts on him and still doesn't know. Like to this day, still doesn't know that his memory was modified. Let's see. I'm trying to think of other pathways. Those are the first two that come to mind in this campaign.
John did ask, who's your favorite PC?
It's Carasilla, obviously.
All right, cool. Moving on.
Yeah.
We will take no further questions on this matter.
All right, cool.
All right. I just had it and I lost it again. All right. So Joe, for you, 100 sessions. That is not even including the other campaigns that you were running at the time. And obviously over time, I think that you've had a better grip of the story. I think you've had a better way to have a narrative flow going. But for you personally, what do you feel has been the biggest difference for you, or the biggest area of improvement for you as the DM from session 0.5 to session 100. What do you think has changed you the most?
God damn, that's.
Or what about you has changed the most would be the better way to say that.
I'm older now.
It's been 86 years.
Sometimes it feels like. No, I think that for me, at least, in terms of how I've changed, I think that my ability to recognize when certain systems aren't fun anymore, or they aren't working, my ability to recognize those types of problems, to be like, you know what, this instance of combat, or this instance of a mechanic, or this instance of roleplay is not nearly as fun as it should be. Let me interject something here to change it up or make it different. That was something I really struggled with at the beginning, because it was like, well, I have to commit to the things that I do, and then I can change in later sessions. But really, as a DM, you have to be willing to change on the flow, or else you could have, combat is so much of this game whenever it happens. If you introduce a mechanic in combat, or an enemy, or an encounter, and it's not fun, your players are going to be sitting through it for 2.5 hours, and in all reality, they're only going to be doing something for 15 minutes of that. Like, each player only has 15 minutes in combat for them to do something. Other than that, they're sitting there for, 2.5 hours. So that's something I feel as though I've gotten better at. The other thing that I can definitely recognize is, in the beginning of Salamander Coast, I very frequently would interject thing after thing after thing after thing after thing to make it exciting. Right? Oh, boom, a new big person. Boom, boom, there's a new big thing. Boom, boom, like 2 or 3 times a session. Like, whoa, shit, what? Huh? And it got so hard for the party to know what to prioritize, to know what to do, to process all of the things that they've encountered over time. And I feel like now I've slowed down a bit. And, there might be a thing that happens every session, but it's not like every session is like, Emerald's here, like,
right.
Or, oh shit, there's a new villain that's come to antagonize the party, like, I think that, the time that I spend introducing crazy things like that, there's distance now, which makes it easier for the party to, enjoy their small moments that they get. Because I think before I viewed small moments as like agony, because I was like, nothing exciting's happening. They hate it. They're so upset. They're so angry. Something crazy needs to happen. The house is on fire now. Like, which is not something I needed to do. And now I recognize that.
I mean, I think you've grown much more confident as a DM. I think you've recognized that instead of worrying what's going to be something that everyone will find fun, I feel like you've done, and this is just me talking, so feel free to disagree, but I feel like you've done a much better job of being like, I think this is what's best for the story, and I'm going to make it interesting, and by God, it's going to happen. And, and not in like a, you will enjoy this, but again, you roleplay and you tell the story with such confidence and with such flow that we, as both the audience and as players, were captivated by what's going on. So like you said, there doesn't need to be 8 big moments, because what's going on, even if it seems small, it's important, and it's being treated with respect and weight.
Yeah.
So that's personally where I feel like you've changed a lot for the better.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And then let's see here. So I reached out to all the players for some questions.
Ooh.
So I'm going to be starting to kind of rapid fire hit you with some here.
Okay.
All right, let us start with Evan.
Oh.
You kind of answered this, so I'm just going to say, if you have anything you kind of want to add on to it, let me know.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, no, I'm going to do part 2 of his question, because you already answered part 1.
Okay.
All right, so Evan wrote, before Salamander Coast started, you had the opportunity of constructing this band of runaways with the crew. Was there anything about the characters that surprised you when the campaign actually kicked off versus how you initially felt they would be created?
It's a funny question for Evan to ask, because he had like 17 character ideas, so I really didn't know what he was going to play before the campaign started. But no, I think that at the beginning of the campaign, right, with all of these characters in a vacuum, you anticipate them to act one way, right? And then as soon as things actually start to happen, it is entirely different. Right off the top of my head, I really thought in a vacuum that Desmond at the time and Cecily were going to absolutely hate each other the entire time. And I was a little nervous about their party dynamic. But obviously, Mark and Cameron, being the talented role players that they are, it never became an issue. They had small spats and small competition, but it was nothing like too crazy, right? They didn't like lose their shit at each other, ever. They kept it concealed. One thing that I did think was going to happen, that didn't actually, is I thought that Poe and Bianca were going to have like a little bit more of a mother and son type role. Especially Bianca having these powers and, being able to do the things she was able to do and having the life experience that she had. I thought that maybe there was going to be a little bit more of like a protective nature of like this young boy is going to try and be too valiant too soon and he's going to die, and so I need to protect him. Yeah, exactly. And I think that was the sort of thing, Felicity, Bianca's not the most momly. Exactly. And I think that's in the initial pitch of the character, I was like, oh, she's like an alchemist who owns a shop. And granted, she had like a rougher life growing up just because of her perception. So in my head, before the campaign started, I was like, oh, that might mean that she's more caring towards other people. But right, that's in a vacuum, right? And once you actually get into the game, things change. So I think I also thought that Desmond and Poe were going to be like mortal enemies. And they ended up being the opposite. They ended up being best friends because of the Desmond's desire to steal and Poe's paladin-like nature. But it worked out.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, moving on to Felicity.
Oh.
And this gets to move into spoiler territory, so obviously answer your own discretion.
Okay.
Felicity asks, do you think any characters will be very changed in the next waves of the campaign? If so, which characters in particular? What's something that the players have done? Oh, well, this is kind of another question, so answer that first one part.
Okay. Characters that are going to be majorly changed in the next like arc or two?
Sure.
Okay. Suni, for sure. I think Suni in the next 10 to 15 sessions is going to be utterly broken. Yeah. I
don't think Cameron's in the chat right now, so this will be fun for him to watch later.
That's tough for him. I think that Cecily is going to truly begin to find more confidence in her powers and in her abilities as a person. Like, not magical abilities, but just her ability to empathize and to care and to listen. I think that her continued conversations with Tyr is going to be really interesting to see how she develops from that. Carasilla will also be challenged, for sure. And I think that Ajax will be challenged, but not in a way that is traditional.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because Bianca, I think Bianca has equalized for the most part. There are going to be things that happen that challenge her, but I think that Bianca has gone through the most significant change, the biggest change, and I'm excited to see Bianca grow, but I don't think that there is going to be a major system shock change to her between now and the end of the campaign. There's going to be little things, right?
That makes sense.
But nothing is going to be as big as getting your soul back, right?
And reclaiming your kingdom that you didn't know you had.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
if there was anything bigger, I'd be like, what could it possibly be? Does the plane of fire belong to her too?
The city of brass is yours, Bianca. Should have known it begins
cool,
with B.
That's how we define ownership in Illica. Did not know that.
That's true. Yep. That's your lore tidbit.
Part 2 of Felicity's question. What's something the players have done that surprised you or made a moment better?
Surprised me. Suni stealing the fragments of Bahamut's bone.
Yeah, I remember that.
And everything that sprouted from that, I thought that was super interesting and a lot of fun. Really surprised me. Man, I have moment, they happen, but then my brain is doo-doo. Oh, fuck. Bianca sneaking away from the rest of the party in Brahmsgrove to spy on the Forsaken? What, dude? What
how
the
about sneaking into Odin's office?
Sneaking into Odin's office? Like, bro, what the fuck? Felicity is unhinged as a player. Like, it's great. There's that. In a very silly way, and I'm glad that it worked out, in one of the more recent sessions of Salamander Coast, the party using Speak with Dead in the most convoluted way. Like using disguise self and minor illusion to disguise the voice, so that way they looked like the person. Like, I thought that was a lot of fun. That was a good time. There are others, but I cannot.
It's 100 sessions. You're not going to remember all of them. Like, in your defense, like, there's just way too many. So, no, those are great ones.
Yeah, those are I think the biggest ones where I was like, stop what you're doing right now.
I now realize that Gemma actually just asked like the same question, basically. There's naturally a lot of improv, changing and adding things on the fly that happens in these games. So what's something chucked into the mix on a whim that became greater, better / more impactful than you ever thought? Actually, I think she's talking about something you threw in. I'm not sure if she's talking about the party.
Yeah.
Is there any sort of like a moment or a character that became way bigger than you were kind of initially perceiving?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie, okay? I find a lot of comfort in improvisation, okay? I do.
Okay.
And maybe that is a bad habit of mine because I am a procrastinator. So maybe what's the word I'm looking for here? I allow myself to procrastinate because I know that I like improv, or maybe it's vice versa. I don't know. What came first, chicken or the egg, right? There's a lot of stuff that I just kind of make up on the spot that everybody's like, oh, what? Like, I hate to say this because of how it's changed.
Oh dear, is this gonna get spicy?
Like, most recently, I did not. Alton, the drow that I was talking about, that like Gemma or like that Carasilla had like having a thing for. Bro did not have a name when he first showed up. when he was like in the corner, like in the stalactites, like up in the ceiling, hiding from the drow sister. When he was up there on his lizard, and I was like, you see somebody looking at you, and then you see like one of the drow sisters also looking down. And they like saw the drow, and like they did the thing for him. As soon as they interacted with him, I was like, damn it, this has got to be a guy now. As soon as they recognized him and were like, okay, well, we got to do something now, I was like, bro, come on. And I'm happy that they did, right? That was, I think, something more recent. What's another thing? It happens so frequently, honestly. Okay. So sometimes, remember how I said at the beginning of the campaign, this is a real spicy one. This is a real spicy one because of the way that it changed things. So, I probably shouldn't say this because it's going to affect the way that people might perceive. But like I said, in the beginning of the campaign, as a new DM, right, especially to a long form story, I was still used to every single session, something new needs to happen because I was used to running campaigns over the course of a semester, right? 16 weeks, 16 sessions on a good day, right? Or on a good semester, right? We'd play every week. So at the beginning, I was still kind of like that. In Old Spire Outpost, the adventure had just started. I made all this stuff and I was like, man, I'm really excited for them to get to it. But they're just kind of sitting there, you know, they're just kind of talking to people. They're just kind of hanging out. And I'm like, something's got to happen. Something's got to happen right now. And immediately that's when everything starts to go off. And I'm like, okay, so they're going to be suspicious of them and they're going to go to interrogate them, you know, and they're going to pull them in. And then there's like all this fucked up shit in that, the Brotherhood in that moment too. I was like, do you work for the Bloody Brotherhood? And I didn't know who the Bloody Brotherhood was. I was just saying shit, man. And they were like, we don't know. We never did anything. And like, where's their hideout? And Desmond says some shit. I'm like, right. We'll go investigate, but you're staying right here.
Question from the chat from Felicity. You improvised child torture ?
Does it make me a bad person if I say yes?
No, absolutely not.
Because I was just trying to think of some fucked up shit that a government would do. You know what I'm saying?
Here we are. The entire campaign took such a hard left turn from that decision.
Yeah, it did. What's another thing? Can I ruin people's perception of me as a DM in another way?
You know, that's the best thing about roll call. You can do whatever you want here, Joe. There are no rules. Oh, you're really thinking about this.
I am. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Okay. I can't say that one. I cannot say that one because that one really messes with things. What I will say is this one. I wanted you guys to get to Odin faster because I was really excited for that, and I was really excited to introduce Cecily stuff in the campaign. So the boat showing up and Wicker showing up. Both those things I did at the end of the session because I wanted you guys to get there faster. Like when Carasilla and Morwen first showed up, like I was like, man, I don't have anything planned for this entire stretch. I don't want to come up with anything. That's a lot of work. I don't want to make another hex crawl that we don't use. So I'm just gonna they're gonna fast travel.
Go.
And
I loved that boat trip.
Yeah. And the boat trip was great. Exactly. I won't say the other thing, though.
It's so funny. All right, just message me and I won't tell anyone, but for another time.
Yeah, of course.
All right, we're moving on to John's question because in the chat he insisted that I read it or something like that. I just skimmed it. Okay. Yeah. All right, John's question, which I'm going to read right now at this exact moment, John. What's going on with this Paylor stuff with Ajax?
That's a good question, and I think that the answer to that is you have to play the game to find out. No, I will answer that in a more serious way. So when it comes to Ajax, right, Leonin in my lore and in my mind have a similar connection to Paylor and Leos, the sort of lion of Paylor that controls the sort of rising of the sun and the falling of the sun, always chasing. What is that? I believe it's like the crow of the raven, or the raven of the Raven Queen. So Leonin are inherently connected to Leos and to Paylor. Every Leonin, right, because they are so rare, they have this intrinsic connection. And Leonin, in a similar way to like Aslan, right? That's kind of how I view most Leonin, is very much like an Aslan archetype. They have this inherent connection to good and light. And that's something that I would love for Ajax to participate in more, and not necessarily just praying, right? One of the things that Paylor said was, be the light when there's only darkness around you, be that light. Oh, that's rough. You got an ad.
Oh,
buddy.
Dude, you're gonna have to rewatch it to get the answer.
It wants me to go to Applebee's. Oh well, shit. Okay, here.
Go.
It's almost over. Maybe you should get premium, huh? Maybe you should buy a Twitch subscription.
Yeah, come on, John.
Let's see. I had Jedi Survivor, and now I think I have Peloton. What the hell?
I don't have an ad myself.
Wow.
I know.
Ads in progress. We'll wait a little bit. I'm an ad.
Seen any good movies lately, or no? I'm just kidding.
Any good movies? Not too many.
Are we back
lately? Still 30 seconds. It says on my side. Oh, John
30
said back.
seconds.
Oh well, John's here. I'll say this for him. Right. One of the things that Paylor said was, be the light when there is darkness, right? You can be that shining star in the shadow. So I'm excited for Ajax to do more things where he is the light, right? And then to reflect on those moments. Because obviously this campaign has a lot to do with light and darkness and ash and shadow and flame and fire and burning and that sort of crippling fear of darkness and shadow. I think that there's more to explore there. So that's what's going on with all that Paylor stuff.
Well, there you go, John. Not a bad question at all.
Exactly. It was a good question.
All right. And then last but not, well, I'll take a turn, so second to last. All right. From Cameron.
Camerone.
Over the years DMing, you have had to step in to RP dozens of PCs for the players who miss a session or two. Is there a character or characters that stood out as being the most fun to play?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I've always loved portraying characters that are a little more lighthearted from time to time. I always love any chance that I can be Suni, because I think that Cameron has made such a fun character that it makes it really easy for me to just do quippy one-liners whenever he's not there. And also Poe. I think that Poe was a lot of fun to portray. That I really had a lot of fun playing Poe, related to obviously all the Cecily stuff, but for the love that he has for the party, and his desire to one day be back with them, even though he knows that's never going to happen. But yeah.
Well, that went from really happy to really sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
D&D for you. Yeah, pretty much, yeah. All right, and then my incredibly selfish question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what's Morwen doing right now?
So it was actually addressed last session.
Oh, was it? I was about to say, I know Hrothgar showed up, but I actually wasn't sure what Morwen was doing right now.
Yeah, Hrothgar showed up. He brought a whole bunch of the Children of the Flame with him. Morwen is actually in the Riverlands right now on Iverion. She is tracking down Perito and his gunslingers.
That's rough.
Yeah. She's got a group of soldiers with her, a large group. She's got like 1,500 soldiers with her that are moving throughout the Riverlands. So she's not doing bad for herself. All right.
It'll be a fair fight when we find him.
Yeah, exactly. But that is what Morwen is up to right now. I did think about having her there, but I was like, there's already so many NPCs here, and there's already so many moments that are going to happen. We can wait on a Carousel of Morwen reunion until a later date, for when there's been more time, because she left at the beginning of the Old Kingdom, and they're still in the Old Kingdom, you know.
No, I can tell you 100% you made the right call with that. Mm-hmm. That was not me throwing shade. Like, why is it Morwen there, you bitch?
What's going on?
Why do you fucking hate my character and everything I do?
Yeah.
Joe? God. No, I was just curious as to what she was actually doing, because obviously she's not there. She must be doing something, and I'm curious what my character was up to.
Yeah, no, for sure. What I can tell you is there is another NPC that is in Maester right now. In fact, there are 3 NPCs in Maester right now that have been met before, but the party does not know they're there yet. Actually, the player characters don't know they're there yet.
Ooh,
but there are 3 NPCs that are repeats that have been around. They just don't know they're there. Are they good guys? Bad guys? Oh.
All right, and I have one non-selfish question.
Okay.
Out of all the Forsaken, do you have one that you have a particular love to play as? The dark one does not count, obviously.
Yeah, of course, of course. I would say, damn, it's hard. You know, like obviously, I love Parido, because of his tics and his behavior and the way he views the world. This is related to Isles, but I'm very excited for Cassius. I think that'll be a lot of fun, and because I love the human nature that Cassius has because of how he was first introduced in the campaign, right? He was first introduced in Isles as Lila's teacher, right? A shitty teacher, right? A Severus.
Professor Finch, yeah.
As a shitty teacher, but still a teacher who showed fear, right? I mean, for someone to feel fear, that is a very human, mortal emotion. And yeah, I was also going to say Malice because I really, really love Matron Mommy Crush My Throat Malice.
Jesus.
I really love her because of I don't think it's a secret, but she obviously has her own motives that potentially could go against the Dark One. And I love that in particular, right? How big are your balls, right? That you're like, you know what? The entity of destruction and turmoil and pain and consumption that threatens to collapse the entire world and existence that I've ever known. What if I tried to what if I tried to tell him no? What if I tried to do something to get my way, right? Like,
I mean,
got crazy. Or,
I mean, certainly Malice's deadly sin is pride. Like, certainly it would be pride. So, if any of the Forsaken were to try, of course it's her.
Yeah. Yeah. And there are other ones, like, it's hard to pick a favorite because they're all good for different reasons. I think I like the spellcasters the most because of their ability to integrate into normal everyday life, and be a presence, right? For Clementine and Nakure, it's very hard for them to go and do anything that's not killing people because that's what they do, right? They're a fighter and a barbarian. They kill people. They fight, whereas a sorcerer has high charisma, right? They can deceive, they can swindle, they can disguise themselves. I mean, all of the Forsaken, Mezenkelnos, everyone, right? I loved Lorukan. I just loved them all. But I think that Malice's desire to achieve what she wants, Cassius's human-like nature, and Parido's checkered past. I think I would put those at my triumvirate of favorite to portray so far.
Yeah, and I mean, certainly none of the Forsaken have been badly portrayed by any means.
Mm-hmm, correct.
Like, I loved the use of Nakure in the Dulski's 0.5. Obviously some bias there, but like for him just being like, just a barbarian, like his presence while he was there as this mouth of Sauron like figure for the Dark One, talking to the light bearer and some of his most trusted soldiers and being so like dismissive of almost just like, this is it. Mm-hmm. Like, you had all this time and this is it.
This is the best you can do. Yeah.
Yeah, like, you had so much time. This is it. Like, I loved how he was portrayed there, so. That thought just jumped into my head,
Yeah.
so I wanted to ask it. All right, Joe, we've been going on for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to jump back to some player thoughts, because I asked everyone for some questions they wanted to ask and something that they wanted to say to you.
Oh.
So be prepared, because this is going to be some pretty rapid fire stuff here.
Maybe some Vacha Vidya Prepare to Cry edition.
Yeah, totally, dude.
Oh,
And I'm going to
nice,
go
dude.
in reverse order. I'm going to start with Cameron here.
Okay.
He says, "I'd love to say to Joe just how just how extremely proud I am of him and what he has accomplished in this community and in his life. It has been amazing seeing someone who was already such a natural talent for storytelling completely hone his craft over the years. Joe is a virtuoso and a gleeman if I've ever seen one. Love you, brother."
No! Oh, God!
Doesn't a virtuoso play the violin?
Oh, I don't care. Oh.
Joe, you all right?
Good.
Oh, buddy, like that was hard. Wait. Oh, buddy, it's gonna get way worse.
Oh, no, he called me a gleeman.
So much worse.
Man, Ryan, I'm gonna let you know right now that I have been on like a razor's edge of a panic anxiety attack all day.
What did I do?
Yeah, it's your fault, you son of a bitch.
God damn. All right. Well, at least we're being honest about it. So,
Yeah. So if I start uncontrollably sobbing, you'll know why.
I'll just do like shadow puppets for the show until you compose yourself. So just let me know. All right. John. John, I assume I can still read this. All right. Well, I'm just gonna do it. Joe, I still can't comprehend how, from a random Reddit post, I've ended up finding the best group of friends anyone could ever ask for, and even more, the best friend in the world. And this is all because of you. You started all this, and you've created such a great community because you are a great, kind, and loving person. On top of you being such a wonderful person, you are by far the best DM I have ever had and will ever have. And John's a pretty good DM himself, so, you know, that means a lot.
No, it does. It does. No, thank you. Thanks, John.
All right, Gemma. She wrote, "And for the feel-good train, it ought to be said..." Very Gemma opening right there. I thought that might pull you away from the edge for a second.
Yeah, it did.
"It ought to be said time and time again, ad nauseum, because it's true." Sorry if I butchered that pronunciation. "Joe, you have built something truly special. Player input is cool and all, or whatever, but none of this would be a fraction of what it is without you. Thank you for making me laugh and cry, feel complete elation and helpless rage, and every other emotion in between. You inspire all of us. I know it certainly gets me to monologue like a crazy person and keep too many notes because I so desperately want to give your games the veneration they deserve.
No.
I may have not been here for all 100 sessions, but you bet your ass I'm down for the next 100. Art."
Thank you, Gemma. Oh, man.
Felicite.
Oh, wait. I think John said you missed some. He said there was more.
Did I? Oh god, I'm so sorry. I suck.
No, you're redeeming yourself now.
Alright, going back to John for a second. I read the first paragraph out of 3, so... Sorry, my notes all over the place. I'm looking up stuff from like 7 different people that I'm talking to right now.
No, you're okay.
The way you compose your games, from the meticulous details of this grand story to facilitating anything and everything all of us players ask for, I can't understand how you do it. Your creativity and compassion for this hobby goes beyond anything I could ever ask for in a DM. And I am truly grateful that I have this opportunity to not only be in your game, but watch you craft this world and story around us. You have and continue to inspire me every session, and it drives me to be a better DM. There is plenty more I could say about you, but I don't want to take too much time, so I'll finish this with, thank you for being there to talk when I need to talk, listen when I need your input, and crack jokes when I need to laugh, and overall, being the best friend anyone can ask for. You are breathtaking. And then he wrote there. So I think that's... I think
that's a typo.
Yeah. No, it was a separate message he wrote there. So I think that was like his way of writing period.
Okay.
I love you too, John. Sorry. Like I said, I'm juggling a lot right now. All right. Back to Felicity. All right. Salamander Coast is super special to me because even though it has grown so far beyond our college D&D group, I know it's the last little goodbye of those times. I remember when I thought the end of that period in my life was the Craghammer campaign and leaving the Sword Coast house and just literally sobbing on the way home. Obviously that wasn't the end, but SC feels like the last thread to that time in our lives. It means so much, and I'm so happy to have been able to expand and share not just SC, but RWA and the world of Illica with all these wonderful people. But Joe, it is so special what you have created. I seriously can't believe it's 100 sessions of Cecily pouting, Suni being a little menace, and Bianca bumbling about. But all that to say is thank you so much, Joe, for all the effort and time spent to make the story happen, and I get to play around with the little character in my head who I spend way too much time thinking about. Thanks for brainstorming with me and surprising us constantly and pushing us to the edge, and I hope we do the same for you. I can't believe everything you've done and planned, and this is much better than Critical Role in my opinion. We are our own thing, and it's so much better than I think we could have planned. Love you lots. Crying emoji, heart.
Oh. Thank you.
Your boy, Evan.
Evan!
Yo, I've told you this many times in many different ways, but I think it is something a DM, a writer, and a creator must hear again and again. Thank you. From the very first time I sat at your table, when D&D was first introduced to me, it was clear that you were made for this. You are an artist of moments, a conjurer of worlds, and a voice of infinite characters.
Bro, what?
Hey, dude, there's so much more. You never cease to bring your world to life once the session starts, and you never fail to keep us all wanting more when the session closes. I've had the privilege of being a part of many stories in the world of Illica, and it's a place I always so badly want to revisit. Because not only did you craft a masterpiece, you chipped off pieces for us to mold ourselves. It's so cool that you mastered a craft of bringing not just your imagination to life, but the imagination of others as well. That's why I got a huge thank you to give. The characters and stories of mine that you let live in your world are super special to me. And these stories you continue to tell in this world only make those characters feel more real. Thanks for giving us a piece of your world. Thank you for bringing us to your world every session. And thank you for all the amazing memories of Illica.
Thank you, Evan.
And then there was Mock.
Mock!
Yo,
Yes.
I am continually inspired and humbled by your dedication to this game. Just when I think life is getting too busy and I'm too burnt out to keep up, something happens in SC that reminds me why I'm here in the first place. I've kept this hobby because of you. I have these wonderful friends because of you. And in a way, every creative project I've made in the past few years is because of you too. You are a storyteller through and through, a bard like none other. There are nights when the game is so involving I genuinely remember what I want to do with my life and why I'm alive. A million thank yous wouldn't be enough, but I will say one anyway. Thank you so much for what you do. I love you and I hope to be sharing D&D with you for many years to come.
Thank you, Mark.
Many, many kind words. Mm-hmm. All of which capture what you're able to do and at the same time not give it an ounce of justice. It's hard, man. D&D is sitting at a table and playing pretend, but often it is the most real thing that you have going on in your life. And it baffles me that a few years ago I didn't know any of you, and I applied to a random Roll20 game, and now I've met some of the most important people in my life who I cannot imagine ever drifting apart from.
Mm-hmm.
The campaigns will end one day, but the things that we've created here, they're only going to get stronger. And I think the fact that what you've been able to do something fun, to do something that inspires, that creates such beauty and hope. Again, what do you say to that? Other than it's just amazing.
Yeah.
100 sessions of SC, several from Afera, many for Isles. Evrand's still going strong, and many more to come. And I look at what everyone wrote about you, and it's just, I'm looking forward to just the more memories and the more feelings, just the connections just growing stronger, just with every time that we get together and, you know, play or whatever, we just check in on each other, whenever we go out of our way to just say, I love you.
Yeah.
It's been a rough few years for all of us, but I think we can all safely say it would have been a lot harder if we didn't have RWA, if we didn't have Salamander Coast, if we didn't have you, Joe. So thank you for everything that you do on behalf of everyone here in SC and out. I know it's an SC episode, but now it's just a general appreciation, so fuck you. Enjoy it.
No,
Is there anything... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, I just, to all of you, whether you're listening right now or not, I appreciate all of you so much, and I love all of you so much, and I just love these games, and there are days where I feel so anxious and scared and terrified of DMing or playing because I'm so afraid of like fucking it up, you know? And I just am so appreciative that I have so many people I play with that are so lovely and wonderful and amazing and accepting and beautiful, that even if I come to the table feeling like an absolute piece of dog shit and I'm just the worst thing that's ever existed, it takes 15 minutes and I feel like I'm on cloud 9. And throughout the most stressful times of my life, when I just wanted to give up and drop everything, you all were here for me. These games were here for me. And I just am so appreciative that I have all of you. So yeah, thank you. And I love you. So yeah.
You know, we joke about the power of friendship, about how it comes together and saves the day, you know, just as long as we're together we can do anything. And it's not that simple, but there is a power to it. And it has made my life much easier having all of you in it. And I'm sure many of you feel the same way.
Yeah.
And that is just a testament to, you know, Dungeons and Dragons, tabletop role-playing games, and again, the power of friendship and what it's capable of. Just knowing that no matter what's going on, you're not alone. Someone's there to help you through it. Someone's there to help you stand. There's just so much power in that. And I think that the words from yourself and from the other players, I think that's just a small fraction of that power.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. And it's a fantastic game to play, and I'm so glad I get to play with all these people.
All right, Joe, we are nearing the end of our time, but there's a little bit more.
Oh God, there's more. Fuck, dude.
Well, maybe it's not going to be that. And I mean, it's kind of up to you if there's anything else.
Oh.
But I mean, this is the 100th, a celebration of the 100th session of Salamander Coast. So tell me, Joe, is there anything you'd like to leave everyone with about the future of the campaign? A little tease, a little nibble, anything at all. This is your time. Bianca dies, he just disconnects. What?
You know, their new name, by the way, is the Wanderers, because they stopped running away from things, and the Runaways didn't fit anymore. And the Wanderers have been a lot of places. They have seen the golden white tower of Nabir Tarman and Brahmsgrove. They have seen the sprawling palisades of the city of Fjardeleth, the massive evergreen forests of the southern shores of Jormungandry, the idyllic farmlands of Bella the deep, disgusting depths of the Underdark. They've seen so much of the world in the current time and in the future. But there are a couple of places that they haven't been yet. Distant shores of golden sands and pink petals, but also rolling green hills and the faintest scent of wine? I don't know. But whatever that breeze is, it is cool, and the presence of salt water could not be more recognizable. And I think that's where I'll leave it.
I think I might be picking up what you're putting down, but I'm not going to comment on that.
Yeah.
I could also be very wrong, so...
Who knows? Who knows? Only time will tell where the campaign will go. Gar.
Or maybe you'll just improv it. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, who knows? All that could be absolute bullshit. And then in 3 months, I'm like...
No, this is cooler. Just turns left.
Yeah, and also you see pink petals in this place. to make it look like I always knew, right? That's my
3D
strength.
chess.
Is I always am vague enough so I can reference it in the future and be like, see? I'm fucking good, aren't I? that's my secret, Cap. Oh man, that's what I got.
All right.
Get out of my face.
Well, thank you, Joe, for sitting down and letting me continue to be the host of Roll Call.
Of course.
Thank you to everyone who helped to add questions, comments, and your beautiful words.
Yeah.
Roll Call has really just become like a love fest, and I really love that about
Which
Roll
is
Call.
nice.
So,
yeah.
No, I'm not complaining. I absolutely love it. So, thank you, everyone. Buried Time happening on what am I doing? Tomorrow, Isles of Hyperion.
Heck yeah.
Oh my gosh, sorry, I was caught up in everything. But yeah, hopefully going to start the process of really saving Emerald that they've been doing for the last like 20 sessions.
Been a journey.
Yes, very much. Buried Time on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Continuation, session 101, like the Dalmatians, for Salamander Coast on Tuesday. And of course, the continuation of the Tales of Evrand on Wednesday.
Yep.
And maybe, another episode of Roll Call next Friday.
Oh my god.
That one's to be determined. We'll see
Doing a week. Okay, we'll see what happens. Stay posted, follow, do all that good stuff. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time.
Now.